Hey Chelsea, this is a response to Module 3. Um, First off, I hadn't I hadn't read To Kill a Mockingbird until just a couple of years ago. It's a phenomenal book. Love Atticus Finch as a character, and just the book itself is great. Um, I could go through a lot of this. I would suggest if some of the topics that you cover that some of your classmates do, I've perhaps covered in some of the other responses to your classmates. But one of the things that I find interesting as we look through, or as I look through your response, is this idea of a bit of a catch-22. You talk about this with regard to Church's Chicken. One of the dangers we run into, and this is very common in critical and cultural studies, and it's dangerous, and frankly, it's one of the things that drives me a little bit crazy and has made me want to kind of get out of this field to a certain degree. Is it's very easy to start seeing problems everywhere, and at that point you lose a certain scientific detachment. This is why I was encouraging you guys to stop thinking about what is good and bad and start thinking about media effects. So before you start, trying to say, well, the world is bad in this way, or this is a really good thing that is happening and I want to illustrate it, to take a step back and to maybe trying to quantify what is actually happening and then quantify the effects. Here's the example that I would give you. Okay, you talked about the Church's Chicken example, and I want to clarify with this. So it's entirely possible in a news story for every single thing about that news story to be decided, or to be a result of a decision. So the event itself happened. The churches ran out of chicken. Okay, great. The decision to cover this in a newscast, that somebody made that decision. The decision to send a particular reporter of a particular race and gender out, that was a decision. The questions to ask, the shots to get, the people to interview, all of those were decisions. The editing was a decision. How to set up the story was a decision. Whether to make it serious, whether to make it funny. All of these were decisions that were made. Now, we don't know those decisions. They could be completely innocuous, or they could be the results of intrinsic racism. We don't know. As a scholar, you could let your own biases come out, and you could say, well, obviously this is just another case of intrinsic racism, and that could flavor your analysis of this particular story. I think as an academic, that is something that we would be remiss if we allowed that to happen. There was a story that happened when I was working on my PhD there was a show called, I think it was called Trap Car, and they were working in DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth area. Well, here was the way that they worked. They looked for parts or places in DFW that had the absolute highest occurrences of automotive theft. And they took a car out and they put it in the neighborhood with the doors unlocked, put a camera on it, and waited for people to come and try and steal it. Well, it happened in this particular case that people would come and they tried to steal the car, and it was often African American folks. They'd come, they'd get in the car, all of a sudden the doors would all lock, and then somebody would come up and talk with them about why they were trying to steal this car. And we discussed this. We talked about it being was this a racist show? Was it entrapment? Well, it very well could be. It showed again and again and again a black person as a car thief. But the flip side of this is it racism if in a case like this, the crime is happening in an area, the car was in the area, and these are the people that are perpetrating the crime. It's entirely possible that you could put it in another neighborhood, wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and catch a white person. So, is there a responsibility to try and create the perception that something is a way that it may not be? These are difficult questions when it comes to media. Are we trying to create reality? Are we trying to better society by creating an image that is more egalitarian? Who knows? And as an academic, we have to take a step back, I think. And this is, again, my opinion. We have to take a step back and we have to look at what is and not what we think should be. We have to examine our own biases and our own presuppositions. I'm going to get off my soapbox and leave it at this. Overall, great discussion. Formatically, it looks great. Very good job.